Hello and welcome, people, back to another podcast. I'm just gonna wait for everyone to come in, the people who actually want to join for today. But if you're watching this, oh Jesus. However, if you are watching this at a later date, then hello, welcome. I hope you watch all the way to the end. If you don't, then well, screw you. Anyways, while we're waiting here, why don't you all put down which Star Wars movie is your personal favorite? Not the one you necessarily think is the best, just which one you think, or which one is your favorite. Just to get a little something going. That would be great. I can personally say that it's um, the Clone Wars 2008. I think is a wonderful movie. Revenge of the Sith, yeah, that's also one of mine. It's definitely in my childhood, my favorite, easily. I loved a lot of things about it. A lot of things. But yeah. So essentially, what we're doing today is we're just gonna take a little look at all of the different movies within the main franchise. And just kind of talk about them, the strengths, the weaknesses, and then overall just which ones I think are the better ones and which ones aren't. And this doesn't mean that the ones that I personally think are a bit less good as some of the others, that doesn't take anything away from them. If those are your favorites and you like them and think they're objectively good, then great. It's amazing. We are different. We do find different things fun and different things good. That's not what this is about. It's just a place for us to have a good discussion because I want you guys to be a part of this. It's a way for us to shed both some positive and negative light on all of them because all movies can be criticized. And I was thinking maybe even at some point at the later road down this podcast, I would invite any of you if you want to come on to talk about which is your favorite. It's not a debate. Please don't come here and accuse me of being an asshole for saying that sequel haters are or Star Wars fans are second only to the Nazis. That's not what this is about. I will mute you. No, it's just a chance for any of you to come in and talk about which Star Wars is your favorite. But yeah, that's later. And also I might, on stream, just look a bit at the Adam Shira video that everyone's been telling me to watch, which I've only watched a little bit about, but apparently it's bad. So we'll look at that. Alright, I'm seeing a lot of good ones here. The Empire Strikes Back, definitely. The Force Awakens, it was the first one you saw in cinema, so it has a special place in your heart, definitely. The first one I feel is always very close to your heart. Empire or Return of the Jedi, both great. They're all great. Empire and The Last Jedi, Revenge of the Sith. Alright, great. Alright, well, I think we should just start getting into it. So I'm going to talk about each of the movies, but I'm going to start off with taking the ones out that I don't think personally belong in the discussion for the top part. But this is just my opinion, therefore I'll still talk about them, and if you guys give any of your own opinions down in the comments, and I'll try to read them. Because, yeah, every movie has a place. So we're gonna start with The Phantom Menace. The Phantom Menace for me is actually the first film in the Star Wars trilogy, or the Star Wars franchise, that I personally ever saw. So it has a special place in my heart. There's a lot of things I really like about it, even though I have attacked it a lot in the past. That is not to say that I don't really think, or I really don't enjoy it. I think it does a lot of things really great. It has some great music, which all of them does. That's just a given with Star Wars. Duel of Fates is absolutely incredible. I love that track. It's also a very expansive movie, just in terms of it. It started the prequel era, which to a lot of people is their favorite, with the Jedi being in a superior place of power compared to the Empire in the original trilogy. So yeah, to me, it's just it does a decent job of that. In general, the prequels do a great job of expanding the already great universe that the original trilogy did. The Darth Maul fight is, of course, legendary. It's just really fun. It was something no one had seen before in Star Wars. There'd been good fights, but there hadn't been any with like this caliber of intensity and flair, and just overall it was fun to watch, and it really showed the Jedi as being actual legendary fighters and not just people whacking their sticks at each other. So yeah, the Darth Maul fight was, to me, amazing. It does have some good character moments. I think Qui-Gon isn't necessarily a bad character. I do think there are some stale characters, some a bit boring dialogue and all that. We'll get to it, but generally, some of the main cast, especially Qui-Gon, I think he's a nice character. I like him. Some of necessarily bad. It's not. I've seen way worse. I've watched movies like Disaster Movie and Battlefield Earth. Those movies don't even compare to the Phantom Menace. However, it's still underwhelming for what we knew they could reach at this time period. Because we all know that Revenge of the Sith looks really good, and it's not even that much longer. Phantom Menace came out around the same time, a bit earlier than The Lord of the Rings, and in my opinion, The Lord of the Rings, the CGI, it isn't as grand as in Star Wars The Phantom Menace, but it's a lot more realistic. It fits better into the environment, and that's what I like about it. So yeah, I just feel like the CGI didn't do as good a job as they could have. Of course, there are boring dialogue scenes, and I know that people have a lot of things to say about this. It's just my opinion. I know that the Jedi were supposed to talk this way. I just feel like there's better ways to make a more Victorian kind of speech interesting. You know, even though they can't really show that many emotions, there is some way to just make the dialogue a bit more interesting. But this isn't George Lucas's fault. He's never been able to write perfect dialogue. That's not one of his passions within filmmaking. It's more about the world building. It's more about the picture, you know, getting the right feel for the audience. And that's what George Lucas does. It's not so much about dialogue writing. People didn't really have much of a problem with it in the originals because the rest of it was so damn good. It's just, to me, it can get a bit dull at times. As well as the acting, and this comes from bad dialogue. Not a lot of actors can make bad dialogue good. That's just how it is. If it's stale and doesn't really seem realistic, then not a lot of actors can actually do much about it. So that's not really their fault. Jake Lloyd, who was just a child, it really doesn't matter, and you can't really attack a kid for not acting well. I don't know, it's stupid. He did what he was supposed to. He did great. So that's not, I'm not coming for Jake Lloyd. No, I'm coming for some of the other actors. It's just the dialogue, the acting could have been better. But that's my opinion. So in my opinion, Phantom Menace isn't the greatest in the Star Wars franchise. It's one that I have a lot of nostalgia towards, but I don't think as a movie, and if you're judging it as its cinematic, qualities, I don't think it's necessarily a great movie. But it's good, it's fun, it fits into the Star Wars, and I wouldn't... Although there are, of course, sometimes things that could have been done differently, I like it the way it was, or the way it is. So, yeah. Have I stirred up too much controversy already? I do think The Phantom Menace has the best use of special effects, as episodes 4 and 6 were done mostly with practical effects, and episodes 2 and 3 were mostly CGI, and episode 1 is a good blend. That is true. Yeah. I don't deny it. I just think at times the CGI, it's almost as if in the first two Thor movies, Asgard, it doesn't look necessarily bad. It just doesn't look believable. It doesn't look lived in, you know? Something like, yeah, I don't know, other movies where the CGI just feels like it's a part of the universe, you know? It's not bad. It's better than most films, but yeah. So in my opinion, Phantom Menace isn't the best Star Wars movie, but I don't think many people are going to be too mad about that. Attack of the Clones is probably one of the ones that I have the least emotion towards, because even though I watched Phantom Menace first, I never really watched Attack of the Clones much. I always watched Phantom Menace when I was younger and Revenge of the Sith, but I have grown to like Attack of the Clones a lot. I think in a lot of ways it is more exciting and more interesting than Phantom Menace. It's so yeah, it has some emotional moments such as Anakin on Tatooine, that whole sequence of him trying to find his mother, finding his mother who is dead and just going absolutely berserk. It's good. It's well acted for a lot of it, especially when he's not saying anything. Hayden Christensen, bless his heart. But I like those scenes. Those are good. I like the Clone Wars. I like that they introduced it, even though it does look similarly to the Phantom Menace. It does look very, I don't know, bland. There's a lot of the CGI, but it did give rise to my favorite era, and I love the Clone Wars. It's such a fascinating and brilliant concept, and I love the series, the TV show. It's great. Anakin and Padme. A lot of people would say that this is a negative, which, if you just look at dialogue, yes, it's cringy, it's awkward, but it's fun. It's not too bad. I actually enjoy it personally. I think it adds some charm, you know? It's not great storytelling. It's not a romance that I'm necessarily invested in. But both of them are young, both of them are, I don't know, giving it their most. And it's just fun. I don't know. It makes you think back to those times when you were in 4th grade and you were trying to, actually 3rd grade, let's be real here, and you were trying to give flowers to a girl and then she kicks you in the face because ew, boys. So yeah, that's actually a personal story. But yeah, I don't know. I like Anakin and Padme. It's just fun to watch. It's interesting. No, not interesting. It's exciting. Obi-Wan Kenobi, this is the birth of Obi-Wan Kenobi as everyone's favorite character. I don't think he's very good in Phantom Menace because he's still just a Padawan, but in the next 2 movies he does a great job. Ewan McGregor is phenomenal, and he's fun, he's lovable, he's one of the best actors in the show. Oh my god. Franchise. I'm sorry for doing a Joe Biden here. Which, by the way, if you guys watched the debate, then bless your hearts. I hope you have found some sort of solace after that shit show. I personally haven't, but I hope some of you have managed better than I did. Alright, so for some of the weaknesses for Attack the Clones, it has a confused plot. This isn't to say it's a confusing plot. It's not that you can't really, follow it much. A movie like Tenet has a very, very confusing plot, but it's meant to be confusing. You don't get the sense when you're watching that movie that Christopher Nolan ever was confused when writing it. Like, he always had a plan for it, you know? The plot in Attack the Clones just feels kind of confused, like it doesn't fully know where it's going sometimes. And yeah, but that's fine. There's a lot of things happening in this movie. It's a pivotal film because it's a pivotal turning point in the whole conflict. And we really try to get all of the motivations, all of the kind of background details, all of the past things that have happened. I don't know. It sometimes feels like it's hard to follow. And not in the good way. It also has Count Dooku, which I know a lot of people love. I like him as a concept. He's cool. But I don't know. There's just some problems with Count Dooku, such as his motivations. Personally, I don't think he really has many. He doesn't really. We don't see him as a character much. And it's also just weird how Count Dooku basically tells Obi-Wan that there's a Sith Lord amongst them, and then Obi-Wan just goes a full war without telling anyone. But anyways, that's just a personal thing of mine. The last duel is horrible in my opinion. There's a really funny moment when Dooku and Anakin are just like, there's like some close-up shots of both of them. They're not fighting, and they're just waving their swords around, and it looks hilarious. Which is one of the things I said before. I liked Attack the Clones because it's interesting, it's fun. This is one of them. It's just, it makes me laugh, and I like movies that can make me laugh, even if it's not intentional. Overall, Attack the Clones, even though it has some fun parts, it's a bit more exhilarating to watch than Phantom Menace. In my opinion, it's just mediocre. It doesn't have too much bad stuff. It also doesn't have too much good stuff. It's not really a solid movie. It's just an okay movie. And that's fine. It's fine because it does set up one of the best movies in the franchise. In my opinion. Alright, before we move on, let me just respond to some people who have come in. Attack the Clones has good setup for a love story running away from bounty hunters, but then they do nothing. It could have been like Satine and Kenobi. Yeah, true. If you guys don't know who Satine and Kenobi is, you probably do, but I know at least one of you hasn't watched the Clone Wars, so Obi-Wan Kenobi's his squeeze. But honestly, their story's pretty good in the Clone Wars, but I don't know if it would have been relevant to the story, but we'll see. Maybe it could have been. The love scenes are so funny. I agree. I love them. They're amazing. The dialogue was shit, but Hayden and Natalie had some chemistry for sure. They did. I feel like they had fun. And when actors have fun, I have fun. It's a party all around. Hey guys, sorry I'm late. No worries, you didn't really miss much. We only talked about the Phantom Menace, but you can always go back and listen to that if you want to. The love scenes in Attack the Clone remind me of those old romance movies from the 80s or something. True, yes. The only thing is back then, that was the norm. Now it's just a bit weird, just like those movies are. The romance in Attack the Clones is actually based on William Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet. Yes. That's interesting. It doesn't always feel like it, but I do see the resemblance since it's one person, from two different families from Romeo and Juliet who can't be together. It's just like the Jedi, and he can't be with her. I see the resemblance there. You're late. What did I miss? Not much. We just talked about the Phantom Menace. I'm just going over some positives and negatives about each of them, and then we're going to try to find out which one is the best. Without controversy, okay? It's just for fun. The Anakin and Count Dooku fight is probably the worst part. I would agree. It's not like I don't hate it with a burning passion. I watch it, and then it's over. I don't have just spite towards it. Hi, just got here. Welcome. You haven't missed much, so don't worry. Alright, let's move on. We are skipping Revenge of the Sith because I don't feel like I should talk about it yet. I'm also going to probably skip the entirety of the original trilogy. Yes, because I don't believe any of these movies are just instantly out of the loop. Alright. Force Awakens is a very, very solid movie. It is one of the most decent movies in the franchise. And I don't think it does that many things wrong. It is by far the easiest to enjoy for the most amount of people. Because it takes some of the more boring stuff of A New Hope, some of the more dragging things that you can still love, but that some, per se, kids and some people who just want more fast-paced stories, it takes those things and then it just makes it a bit quicker, makes it more revamped. Since, first of all, it's not a remake, it's something else. It's just, it takes a lot of inspiration from it, and it makes Star Wars, excuse me again, it just makes Star Wars feel, new and fresh. I liked it. It was a great new way for us to enjoy Star Wars. It's a solid movie. It takes, like I said, takes the bad parts of A New Hope and makes it more enjoyable. It also doesn't do the good parts of A New Hope as well. Finn has a great arc. I love Finn. He's one of my favorite characters in the entire series in this movie. I don't like him as much in the other ones. I still like him. Maybe it's just because John Boyega is very charismatic, and that does a lot when the actor just loves what he's doing. But yeah, Finn is great in this movie. And the film is just a lot more fun. I don't know. It's a lot of fun. And sometimes you don't want to watch a sad movie like Revenge of the Sith, or conceptually or like thematically interesting film like The Last Jedi, or just, I don't know, a dark movie like Empire. Sometimes you just want to watch a fun adventure movie, and you've already watched A New Hope a lot of times, so The Force Awakens is great. But yeah, that's some of its weaknesses. It is just solid. It doesn't do anything. It doesn't provide anything totally new or interesting enough to give it the top spot. But a banging movie. I like it, even more than some of the others sometimes. Like just pure entertainment value. I think it's definitely one of the best films, but I wouldn't put it in as a candidate for the best movie. Because the others have something special to add compared to it, That doesn't mean I'm a big fan of it. And if you love this movie, then great, because it is phenomenal. My biggest problem with The Force Awakens is that I just don't have much to say about it. Exactly, that's my point. I like it a lot. It's just, it doesn't do anything new. And that was the whole point of it. That's not its fault, So yeah. I'm also going to skip The Last Jedi and take that as you will, but we'll get back to it. The Rise of Skywalker is a movie that I've talked a lot about. Its strengths, it has great dynamic between Rey and Kylo. I like them together. I like that, the relationship there. I like the redemption arc from Kylo. It's not as good as a Zuko, but oh well. That's rough, buddy. It does a lot of things okay. It's not nearly in the same league as The Force Awakens. It just kind of, it doesn't do that much horribly, It's just a meh movie in a lot of ways. And the things that really drags it down for me is that it's scared of making interesting choices. It's not necessarily what I imagined from the final chapter in Star Wars, but maybe that's for the worst, for bad reasons. Because I think it could have been so much more than what we actually got, But I don't really have much else to say about The Rise of Skywalker. I like the theme that I mind that Palpatine came back, but I don't really hate his purpose in the story. I don't like that they brought him back because that's just dumb, but the fact that he was back and we couldn't do anything about it, I think it was alright. I liked the theme with him and Rey, Rey chose to be her own person. So that was nice. However, The Rise of Skywalker is not the best movie in the Star Wars franchise. Big shock, I know. Alright, before we go into the ones that I would actually categorize as maybe, this is one of the best. Let me just respond to a bit more of you guys. A lot of people say The Force Awakens is the most rewatchable Star Wars movie, but for me it's either Attack of the Clones or the Clone Wars movie. Interesting. We all have free speech, my friend, and you have the right to say that. I like Finn, but I have an issue with his arc in The Force Awakens. Alright, I'd be happy to hear it. Finn is one of my favorite characters in the sequel trilogy. Yep, same. My biggest problem with The Force Awakens is that I just don't have... Oh yeah, I've already read that. I like Finn, but there doesn't seem to be remorseful for killing people he knows. That is true. The whole reason that he goes out of it is because he sees one of his friends being murdered, and then he just kills stormtroopers like it's nothing. Yeah, that's a bit iffy, but Star Wars is known for, at the end of the day, a lot of it is adventure movies, and slaying down bad guys is, I guess, it's not something I particularly think is a great thing in movies because, I don't know, it doesn't really teach us something important, but it's a part of it. What can I say? The Force Awakens goes somewhere in between episode 1 and 2 for me. Yeah. Yeah. I can get behind it. The Rise of Skywalker is bad. Second worst to The Last Jedi, but I like it and consider it more enjoyable than The Force Awakens and The Phantom Menace. Well, that is. I wouldn't say The Last Jedi is the worst in my opinion, but I know we've had a lot of talks and I know you don't like it very much. Hopefully I can shed some light on that. Here's some things I like about The Rise of Skywalker. Kylo's character arc and Force Ghost Luke. Yep. I like those things as well. I couldn't think of anything else. I found out what else. Wait, I couldn't think of anything else. I found out what else I like about it. Okay. Good for you. I'm sorry, I couldn't read that. Alright, okay, which movies should we start with? Alright, let's just talk about Revenge of the Sith. Revenge of the Sith was for a long time my favorite Star Wars movie. And it possibly still is. It's hard for me to say. My favorite just switches, and it can switch as easily as just watching one of them. In my opinion, it has a lot of strengths. The CGI boost from the first two prequels is immense. It is a big step in the right direction. It just looks really good. It looks beautiful. It looks lived in the world much more than any of the others. The first scene is stunning. It comes out of nowhere, and it's a great way to show off everything that happened. Or no, not everything that happened. Everything that they've managed to pull off with their special effects. The movie is emotional as shit. We all know this. Order 66 is heartbreaking. Even though we don't really know as characters a lot of the Jedi that get killed, the music alone makes this scene horrifically sad. Or at least it makes me sad. It's just a great sequence altogether. It's one of the best sequences in the series, for sure. Although it's quite flawed, I think it shows Anakin's turn quite well. It kind of comes out of nowhere, but that is fine, We see the turn, we have enough evidence to prove that it's happened. We get enough motivation for him to turn to the dark side, and then he goes off and kills children, but that's okay. It is what it is. And yeah, I think it's not done horrifically poorly, It has epic fights. It's absolutely stunning, some of the fights. The Obi-Wan versus Anakin fight has great storytelling, great choreography. It's a bit long, but that's epic and totally worth it to watch all of it. Yeah, it really shows what sword fights could become in this franchise, which we always knew it could be, and it just takes it to the great heights that it brings it to. My English is on point today. Memes. The Revenge of the Sith has brought some amazing memes. I think, I don't know, I've had a lot of fun throughout these past 7 years. Wait, how long ago did the prequel memes start being a fun thing? 2015 probably. I can imagine, since Force Awakens came out. But I love them. Pretty much every single sentence, every word that's been mentioned in that movie has been memed. But fine. Weaknesses, I know a lot of you don't like to talk about weaknesses in this movie, but it does have some stuff. There is a lot of filler that takes away from Anakin's turn. Just a lot of things that aren't necessarily, you know, directly involved in his turn. For example, the long fight with Grievous on the planet of Utapau. I personally like it. It's fun. It's enjoyable. It shows Obi-Wan as an actual master. But it maybe goes on a bit too long for my liking. It doesn't have much meaning. General Grievous isn't an interesting villain in terms of his morals, his motivations. He doesn't really have any. But of course, it shows the moment when Obi-Wan is betrayed by the Jedi. It shows a vital turning point in just the war overall. But there's just some small scenes that just kind of take away from Anakin's story, which is why to me sometimes it just feels like it's a bit rushed. His turn, you know, like it kind of comes out of nowhere suddenly, or like it's just kind of big steps, and it's because there's other stuff taken away from it. Bad acting and dialogue is again a problem, but yeah, it's a problem with all of George Lucas's films, and it's fine. But yeah, in some places, of course, Hayden Christensen, he has some great scenes in this film, but he also has some bad scenes. Ewan McGregor almost pulled everything off. There was that little bit with killing younglings where you could see he held his own mouth just to stop laughing. And I know that was to stop laughing because I've done that same trick before in one of my own personal Saw movies with my friends when I was younger. There was a scene we just couldn't get right because the Jigsaw voice just kept distorting. And to get through the scene, I held my own mouth, but yeah, I just pretended that it was very intense. And yeah, so I could tell that from a mile away. But overall, Revenge of the Sith is a great Star Wars movie. And if you love Star Wars, then of course you love it. Maybe if you love films just in general, maybe you won't love it. But that's for another time. As a Star Wars movie, it's definitely one of the best. And easily the greatest out of the prequel trilogy. Easily. Ewan McGregor he saved it almost. The trilogy. Yeah. Revenge of the Sith is great. I love it. Don't ever think that I don't, because it's like saying that I don't love one of my children, which is honestly a fear of mine. I hope I love each of my children equally, but who knows? It's a long time away. One of my favorite scenes in the movie is the conversation Obi-Wan and Anakin have before their lightsaber fight. Yes, even though there's some parts that I find a bit awkward and cringy, I overall do like it. It sets the scene well. It sets the scene well. The music is great. I love it. Yeah, it's great. I get kind of annoyed that people fault Revenge of the Sith for being a little too late for Anakin, using other media to take it down, and then complain when people use Clone Wars to prop it up. That is annoying. Definitely. The Obi-Wan versus Anakin fight seems long as it is intercut with Yoda and Palpatine, but the fight is only 6 minutes. True. Yes, and that's what makes it feel long. It just feels like it drags on for a lot longer than what it should, but it doesn't. It's just because there's a lot of other things going on as well. I don't really get why people trash the dialogue in the original trilogy. Well, overall, it is better than the prequel, in my opinion. However, there are some just iffy places. Like the most notorious one is in A New Hope when Leia tells Vader that she could smell the foul stench from miles away, which is something you just, whatever it is, it's something you don't tell people. It's just awkward, you know? And the acting in that scene just isn't great. She doesn't react to stuff, you know? But it is what it is. We'll get to that later. I think it was confirmed that Ewan McGregor did that to hide his laughter. That's amazing. I love that. Yeah, it's a bit goofy. It's a goofy sentence, and he tries to make the most of it. And I praise him for it. Anakin's turn felt very realistic. It definitely wasn't unrealistic. There was enough motivation behind it, enough scenes that we've seen to make it believable at least. I just feel like in places it could have been done better. All right. A New Hope. Yes. The thing I say about A New Hope is that there is one single movie in the franchise of Star Wars that I would consider a masterpiece. And it's not necessarily the movie that I think is objectively the best. Now, this may seem confusing, because how can a masterpiece not be the best? Just stick with me. I think A New Hope is a masterpiece of a film because it pioneered so much. It has done so much for film. It's insane. The way I think about film is that the classics, the masterpieces of film, like Casablanca, Psycho, these movies that were enormous when they came out, they brought some things that had never been seen in film. They have pioneered so much. They are the reason that we have great films today. The thing is, I don't think either Psycho or Casablanca, personally, are the best movies of all time, and also not the best movies within their given genres. Not at all. Because what a masterpiece does, what a classic does, is that it sets the groundwork for like the other movies. It sets the foundation where other movies build off of. It comes from their teachings. You know, it's even what Yoda said in The Last Jedi. A master is only there to make their apprentice grow even higher, you know? We are what they grow beyond. Psycho is amazing. Yes, I don't deny that Psycho and Casablanca and all these classics are very good. However, I don't think they're the best within their genre. I feel like better horror movies have definitely come out that are better and more scary than Psycho. However, the thing that makes them so good is that would those other movies have been made if it wasn't for these movies? Would all these techniques have been perfected if Alfred Hitchcock hasn't... Oh, fucking hell, I pronounce that horribly, but if he hadn't, you know, given us these techniques, that's the question, and that's what I feel like with Star Wars. Just the first one, A New Hope, which was originally just called Star Wars, it did so much. The world building, the effects, the imagination, the vision, the story, the adventure. It hadn't been done in this scale ever before. Sci-fi, fantasy, it had never reached this kind of length, like this height. And I feel like that's what A New Hope did. And in my opinion, it is a classic. It is a masterpiece. It is the only masterpiece within the Star Wars franchise. And I know a lot of people probably wouldn't think that, but I don't know. In my opinion, it is the only one. Is that to say it is without its flaws? No. Not at all. It has some great things, like I've said before, the vision, world building, great fun story, it has likable characters, it has pioneering effects, but it also has some weaknesses. Because it is a classic, it's so long ago, it does feel a bit outdated, not just in effects. Of course the effects are going to look worse, but just in the way films are shot today. There is bad pacing at times. In scenes where, you know, the world is shown, but the scenes where C-3PO and R2-D2 are just walking in the desert for a long time. These are long shots. It's just not as interesting to me, and I don't think those kind of shots would work today. It's just, it can be a bit outdated for newer audiences. Wooden acting and dialogue, like we talked about before, it is a problem. It's not a problem because no one cares, but it is a negative. This is a film that doesn't have much bad to say, like, you know, it doesn't have too much bad about it at all. And I think it's definitely, yes, it is gonna be in the top two at least, definitely, for the top spot. But yeah. Alright, let's move on. Let's just quickly skip over Empire, just real quick. Return of the Jedi is is also a fun movie. It is also one of my personal favorites, especially when I was younger, because I didn't like Empire and A New Hope that much, because in my opinion they were boring, but I also was a little piece of shit back then. Ayo man, what's up? Yeah. How are you doing, Rowan? Nice to see you. Return of the Jedi has a great last act. The final act is brilliant. It's great. It has complexity. It has great action. It has great moments, great character moments, and it's just fun. It's very fun. The redemption arc for Vader and satisfying conclusion to Luke's story just go hand in hand, and they are wonderful. Top-notch lightsaber fight. It's the best that it gets in the original trilogy. It has a lot of storytelling within it, which I don't think a lot of the other lightsaber fights has in the entire trilogy. But yeah. The celebration music at the end is so beautiful. I love it. The Ewoks. It's cute. Return of the Jedi, I wouldn't say it's one of the best, though, because it does have a lot of flaws. The Ewok side plot it's just not as relevant to the rest of the story. It makes it feel not as focused. And that's a flaw. It is. The first act is avoidable if Luke had just went in there and used his Jedi powers to just slash around instead of waiting, getting captured, and then slashing around, you know? In my opinion, I like it. I love the feel of it, but it doesn't make much sense, you know? Also, Han is boring. I know people have said this a lot before, but in my opinion, it is easy to see that Harrison didn't want to be there. He wanted Han to die early, but he didn't, and yeah, there wasn't really a plan for Han Solo. He just had to be there. So yeah, in my opinion, Return of the Jedi is great. It's fun. It adds a lot, but it's not the best. Sorry. Let me just read a little bit of what you guys have been saying. It's not that the dialogue in that Vader and Leia is bad, it's just Leia doing a British accent was odd. Yes. It was very odd. That was a great word. Episode 4 is my favorite because I'd really have to go out of my way to find problems with it. Yeah, it is top-notch. There is barely anything to say bad about it. There's some things that I feel like it could do better, but nothing it does badly and poorly, you know? I consider Star Wars a blend of sci-fi and fantasy. Yes, that is exactly what it is. I call it science fantasy, because it does lean towards fantasy elements more than it does the science aspect of the science fiction. Because George, early on, he chose to say that, alright, this isn't gonna make... Well, it's gonna make sense, but it's not gonna be based on science. It's not gonna have realistic rules in, like, space and stuff. I'm gonna make it just be as fun as possible, and that's the best choice he could have made. It is fantasy. Star Wars is now considered a classic and masterpiece, but at the time it ruined Hollywood. Now it's got its due. I feel like that's what happens to a lot of movies, but yeah. I can see why they thought that, but nah. It's just a bunch of boomers, really. Return of the Jedi is great except the middle where it drags. I think that's the main reason people hate the Ewoks. Definitely my third favorite. Yeah, I can definitely see why people love Return of the Jedi, and I love it too. It does drag a lot. Now let's talk about The Last Jedi. You all know that I like The Last Jedi a lot. Is it my favorite Star Wars movie? No. But it does have a special place in my heart because I have defended it over and over and over again. And it has made me realize all the negatives about it and all the positives. It's made me appreciate it more as a film itself. And it's also helped me to think critically about both things that I love and things that I care about. Things that... It's helped me just be very analytical. And it's also showed me how angry people can get at nothing. At something so useless. Wait, how come you like Luke in The Last Jedi but think he didn't do enough in Return of the Jedi? I think Luke did enough in terms of character. What I'm saying is just in Return of the Jedi, the plot of him where he could have gone in and, yeah. Because the thing is, if he didn't end up fighting his way out, then I would have believed it. But the weird thing to me is just that he goes in and he doesn't just fight his way out. But instead he waits until they're all in mortal danger, and then he fights his way out. I think Luke is great in this film. It's the reason everyone fell in love with him. But yeah, on to The Last Jedi. So it has a lot of strengths and a lot of weaknesses. Things that I don't want to go into everything here. I'll just name a few. As I've said before, I like Luke's arc. Hate me or love me for saying that, but it's the truth. I like it. I think it's complex. I think it's deep. I think it makes sense to his character, and I've talked a lot about it. There's a lot of places where you can go to hear my opinions on it, and my opinion won't change. I have had a lot of time to think about it, and I think it's the best part of the movie, and I think it's one of the best character arcs in the entire franchise in general. I think it's great character writing, and it has something that a lot of people can learn from, because perfect characters isn't fun. It just isn't. I feel like The Last Jedi has some of the best cinematography in the entire franchise. It's really great. A lot of the shots are just beautiful. I know a lot of you have a problem with it, but the lightspeed ramming scene is gorgeous. Even if you think it ruins Star Wars or anything else, it's wonderful. It's beautiful. Yeah. It's other stuff like, what's it called? Crate. The cinematography is great. I just think it's a very visually pleasing film, and Rian Johnson did a great job. There's other things where he lacked, but he has a knack for artistry, and you can see that with his camera angles, his shots, and the things in the background. The themes are deep. Some of them aren't as fleshed out as others, but probably won't be able to stay for too long. Don't worry, that's fine, Rowan. I'm glad you tuned in. It's been a pleasure. I think the themes are very fun. Wait, not fun. They're deep. Some of them aren't done as great. They aren't fleshed out as well as some of the others, but overall, they're interesting. They're complex, and I think it's something that Star Wars had been missing for a long, long time. Just interesting themes. And for me, I like themes. I've done a lot of analytical, literary analysis, film analysis in my life, and I find it fascinating how we can learn things about ourselves and our own society from films, you know? I think it's one of my favorite parts of film. The subversion is great. I know a lot of people don't like it, but stuff like Rey's parentage, I think, is perfect. I think her being no one was the best thing that could have happened, because everything else would have been disappointing. If she'd been, I don't know, Mace Windu's daughter for some reason, Obi-Wan's granddaughter, Luke's daughter. I mean, I know now she's Palpatine's daughter, which I'm fine with it because it came after this. If it had just been from the beginning, I would have hated it. But I love that it's known because it just makes the Force, you know, I've said this so many times, but it makes the Force seem like it could be anyone who has it, you know? Because that's what made me fall in love with Luke in The Last Jedi. No, holy shit. In A New Hope, because he was just a farm boy, and then he went on to this massive adventure, and he chose his own destiny. That was what I liked. And finally, Rey being no one, it made me, I don't know, it brought that childlike wonder back to me. I liked it a lot. It is different and totally unique in terms of feeling and atmosphere compared to the rest of the Star Wars films. It just feels very different, and a lot of people will take that as a bad thing, and some of them will take it as, and some of people will take it as a good thing. But yeah, I think it's a good thing. I like that they went a bit of a different route, and I'm just sad that people didn't like it enough to hate on it so much that the next movie was just boring and predictable. Weaknesses for this film are also a lot, and I accept them. Rose and Finn's subplot is unneeded. The things that Finn learns, he already should know. It should be Poe who does it, but then Poe has another arc, and that wouldn't have worked either. Yeah, it's not the worst arc in film history, as a lot of people have said, but it definitely isn't the best. You know, it doesn't add much. But it does add much in terms of the whole failure theme, because they do fail, and that's important to show. The humor in this movie kind of falls flat and changes the tone from a serious tone to, yeah, a bit childlike sometimes, and that kind of ruins it for a lot of people. It's not enough to ruin it for me, but I can see where it comes from. There are many small details and flaws to be found throughout it. It's not a perfectly made movie. And it has a fan base dedicated to hating it. I think that's its biggest flaw. Overall, I love The Last Jedi. It is one of my top favorite Star Wars movies. And I think it does a lot of things very well. And I think it's very underappreciated. I know a lot of people like them, but even more people hate it. In my opinion, I would put The Last Jedi and Revenge of the Sith together. Because sometimes I like one more, sometimes I like the other more. They're both great for different moves that I'm in. So that leaves A New Hope, and let's see if Empire can top it. Because Empire, in my opinion, is the overall best film. It is the most well-made and objectively the less flawed film. Let's go into why. So the strengths is that its plot is so focused. It's focused, it's straightforward, it has great pacing. It's just boom, 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 right to the end. You know, we get great character dynamics, great character moments. We have great action scenes. We have great moments of wonder, great moments of intelligence. It makes us think, this movie, more than A New Hope did. A lot more than A New Hope did. It's darker, it's more thematic. And I like that. I like that a lot. And yeah. It also has one of the biggest plot twists of all time. And we can't, yeah. It is iconic. This movie is iconic. It also pioneered in terms of effects. It's not, A New Hope wasn't just alone in doing that. Empire went even beyond, you know? It builds on Luke and Han's character arcs so well. Luke and Han in this film are great. A New Hope, Empire. Han is phenomenal. He's a great character. He kind of dies off a bit in Empire. Nope, in Return of the Jedi. But overall, yeah, it's a solid movie in terms of everything. The only weaknesses I could find was that there is some filler in the story, like when they fly into that giant worm thing. However, it's still important because there is some necessary character development, and to me that's the big thing. And yeah, any occasional stupid thing that happens is just not important enough to talk about because it doesn't ruin the experience. Empire is just really, really good. It's a solid movie. It's better than just solid. It's compact, you know. It depends on who you are, and sometimes, yes, it drags on a little bit if you're used to it, you know, if you know the story. But I think on first viewing, if you like film, it's arguably the one you'll like the most. Is it better than A New Hope? I'd say just solely in terms of overall quality of the film itself, yes. In my opinion, I think it's better. A New Hope is bigger for the vision. It stands for more. Everyone knows the story of Star Wars. Not as many people know the story of Empire. However, film isn't a popularity contest. A good film doesn't depend on how many people know it. Well, I mean, to some people it does, but not necessarily. Empire, in my opinion, is the best Star Wars film. There we go. Took around almost an hour to get out, which I I knew it would take a while, but I don't know. What do you guys think? Which is, in your opinion, the objectively best? Because I could be wrong. It could also just be stereotypical to say Empire. I think a lot of the movies have so much to offer. Every one of the films does one thing the best, you know? But in my opinion, I don't know. Empire is just overall structurally, and yeah. I don't know what I'm rambling on about. In my opinion, it is the best movie. Alright, let me just talk a little bit. I like Luke's character as it's well done, but I would have preferred him to be less of a failure. I mean, it was hard considering The Force Awakens. I would have preferred the sequels to be Luke's New Order. Yeah, I know, and I think a lot of us were a bit disappointed, but in my opinion, what we got was brilliant, and there still are all the comics, and I think they still have a place in our hearts, and they should have a place in our hearts. But yeah, in my opinion, I like it, and I know you said it was well done, and I think that's true. That doesn't mean it wouldn't have been better some other way, which it very well could have been. Do you ever plan to make a video analyzing the prequels? Might be a fun video to cover. I mean, I once made a video on the sequels and why I think they're good, but yeah, probably at some point. I mean, I feel like this is kind of as in depth as I want to go for now. But yeah, maybe in the future. Who knows? Stuck between Empire and A New Hope. Yep, that's me. I could wake up tomorrow and just regret everything I said today. There's just a lot to come at for Star Wars, you know. There's a lot of things to take into consideration. Also, Rebels arc is boring. They're just running away in a slow chase. Is that like the Rebels TV show or like the Rebels in Empire? I don't know. I don't want Rey being a nobody because it steals the idea of Anakin being the chosen one. I don't think so, because Anakin did what he set out to do. It's a new story now, and it just brings, I don't know, new themes to Star Wars. It brings new concepts. It brings a bit more, I don't know, hope, in my opinion. I think that Empire has the best screenplay. I just think that some bits drag on. I'd agree with that. That's a very true statement. Empire is great, but I feel the passage of time in the middle is unclear, as one plotline feels like weeks and the other feels like days. Small problem, but it is the best installment. Yes, definitely. It feels like Luke has been there for months and they've just been chased around for like an afternoon and then they just make it to the same place, which is a bit weird, but yeah. It's definitely not without flaws. That's not the thing. A perfect movie is not without flaws. It's just, it can still be a great, great, great movie. Like the passing better in A New Hope, but Empire is better in every other way. Alright, yeah. That is a good opinion. I see the original trilogy as one movie. I have a hard time separating them. That's probably why I'm pretty forgiving of Jedi. Yeah, probably. They work very well together as a trilogy. It's a wonderful trilogy. It's I would actually put it as a trilogy as one of the best trilogies of all time. The best is easily The Lord of the Rings. No trilogy comes close to them. Even if some movies you'd say are better than the individually. The Lord of the Rings as just a collective is insane. You know, all three of the movies are top-notch, top 10 quality movies. That's impossible to make. But yes, the original trilogy for me is a great trilogy. It just feels, it flows very well together. I think Empire is the best, but Revenge of the Sith is still my favorite. That's completely fine. Empire is sometimes my favorite, but not always. It's sometimes between Revenge of the Sith or The Last Jedi. Alright. Okay, initially I was planning to have some of you come in and talk, but I think I'm going to save that for another time. I'll probably, just so I can, beforehand, ask some people to come in, if you want to. Also just because I don't really feel like debating right now or talking too much more, because I'm not used to talking this much. So I was thinking one last thing before I go. We could quickly have a little look at the why it's impossible to defend the prequel's utterly decimating Anomaly Inc. video from the infamous, or as he's known other places, Adam Weishura. Because a lot of people have asked me to talk about this, but and yeah, I've only watched a little bit of it, so yeah, we'll see. I probably won't respond to all of it. Maybe I'll save that for another point, but I just want to see what all the hype is about. So yeah, let's get into that. I think I figured out how to switch over. I just share audio, and there you go. All right. I think you guys should be seeing what I'm seeing. So yeah. So first of all, the title. Why it's impossible to defend the prequels. Utterly decimating Anomaly Inc. First of all, it is not impossible to defend the prequels. The prequels have a lot of good things about them. It's an ignorant and stupid title. And this person is going against Anomaly Inc. for being too harsh on the sequels, and just blindly loving the prequels. But this man isn't any better. He really isn't. Also, thank you guys. This like to dislike ratio makes mine on my Anomaly Inc. video look so much better. Alright, good thing I'm not monetized, because this video would probably just demonetize me. But that's probably a long way away. Wait.
Epitome of a stereotype.
Okay.
Anomaly Inc. is the epitome of a stereotypical prequel defending child idiot that seems to populate the internet nowadays.
I really hope you... Please tell me if you can hear it. I think you should be able to, but so yeah. This man really sounds like he's been watching a lot of Anomaly Inc. Because the way he like swears and talks sounds very similar to the way Anomaly Inc. enunciates and like pronounces words. Not that there's anything wrong with it. It just, to me, at least it sounds like it's very similar. Alright, you can hear it? Alright, great.
There's a gigantic circle jerk of these people, and you can't go fucking anywhere on YouTube and say that you hate the prequels without some asshole popping up to defend them. However, Anomaly Inc. is the worst one because he has no life. He just makes videos because other people hate the movies he likes. Even though...
I mean, it's got him very far. Anomaly is a very successful YouTuber in my opinion. And I don't think there's anything wrong with defending what you love. I know you all know that I have my problems with Anomaly Inc., and I'm not going to get into that now. But he's passionate, and he loves what he's doing. He loves the prequels, and he's defending them. But yeah, there is a bit of merit to this guy, but he just takes it way too far. That's the problem with this video, I think. But also some of his points are just flawed.
Typical disclaimer, I don't think the prequels are masterpieces by any extent. He'll bitch and moan whenever someone makes a legitimate criticism against them. It's like if a movie makes him feel good, he'll come up with dumb excuses as to why the personal subjective issues of these people he's responding to are not objectively valid. One of the best examples of his stupidity would be his attempt at debunking Cosmonaut Variety Hour's video on the prequels. His first video was overly malicious in tone, personally insulting Cosmonaut.
Yes, his tone was overly malicious towards Cosmonaut. Well, what the fuck do you think you're doing? Like, the thing is, I used that point in my video. It's not a bad point that, yes, Anomaly Inc. was just overly angry and just kind of attacked Cosmonaut, even though it's not, Cosmonaut didn't care. But I made it my goal to not do the same thing to Anomaly, I didn't want to be angry and malicious back. It's just hypocritical, and no one's going to take you seriously, and no one did. Not a lot of people took you seriously at all.
While also presenting that entire section of the internet brainwashes people. He then responded to the backlash in an extremely condescending part 2, backtracking his personal insults to him letting off steam. In order to end him, I'll be looking at his most recent Revenge of the Prequels episode, not in defense of Watch Mojo, obviously, but because this one is almost like a compilation of all the stupid excuses he's already given. Over my arguments, I'm going to show the evidence I've gathered, which proves how incredibly retarded prequel fans are. Here it goes. He first has a classic case of being in denial about what he's done.
I've covered content creators of all channel sizes, and none of it has been personal. Each person has simply been another name on the list.
Well, then you are lying, so fuck off. You have personally attacked many content creators, but you can't admit it. You seem to be physically impossible to admit that you fucked up and need to start over or quit.
Also, what is he showing us? It's just a bunch of people shitting on him. Like, the thing is, I recognize a lot of these names because they're people who've also commented on some of my videos. And it's just, I don't know. Why? Maybe you're the one that should off the internet, White Knight. I'm quite sure. I don't care about writing consistency because I don't care about anything. Case closed, guys. No, I judge movies like Cosmonaut. I know it seems impossible to critique movies wrong, but you're criticizing movies wrong. I don't know what they're talking about. How so, I wonder? I am not a white knight. What? Okay. You know what, let's just continue.
Because defending the prequels with good arguments is impossible. Unless you make people angry.
Wait. Hold up. Wait. Let's just take that back a bit.
Prequels with good arguments is impossible to start over or quit. Because defending the prequels with good arguments is impossible. Unless...
So, a good argument, just the definition of a good argument is something that, you know, it's an argument that does what it's supposed to do. You actually prove, or it's a good step towards you proving your point. So saying a good argument can't be used to defend the prequels is bullshit. It's absolute bullshit. Even if you don't like the prequels, that's another story, okay? But to say that even if you make a good argument defending them, that's impossible. You can't do that. And it's just wrong, you know? I don't know. It's one of these people who is very angry and then he's made a video in no time at all. And he hasn't put much thought into it. And, oh God, I don't know. This man is hard to read. Yeah. He's definitely doing this for attention, and he's getting a lot of attention. He gets a lot of views, and that is true. You do get a lot of views for attacking Anomaly Inc. Trust me, I know. I know. But I feel like he's just doing it the completely wrong way. Even if I was wrong in a lot of places, at least I thought that I came at it from a good angle, you know? At least I tried my best to be objective, and you, my friend, you just aren't.
Unless you make people angry, then you can bypass their thinking complexes. He then makes a comparison and states that the reason Watch Mojo have such a heavy like to dislike ratio is because there are prequel hate circle jerks on the internet.
Over 30,000 dislikes, which is a landslide compared to the 4,000 people who said that this video was good. What's even more telling is that with 20 million subs, I figured getting 30,000 dislikes wouldn't be too difficult if you talk about a heavily debated topic, especially with that much of a following. But it's the ratio that's just so damn satisfying to behold. Which reminds me of a quote
I mean, I don't know what this guy's trying to prove wrong, but Anomaly, it's just true. The prequel fans are ruthless. If you try to go for the prequels, your like to dislike ratio is gone. It is absolutely gone. Trust me, it's insane. Even if you're just trying to be fair and be like, well, yeah, maybe there aren't masterpieces, but we can be civil about this, you know, and we can all enjoy them together. No, that is impossible. People will rip you to shreds. honestly, the thing that people don't realize about disliking is that it does more good for the content creator than bad. Because a dislike is a reaction, and reactions to one's video is what's gonna send it out to more people. If you like or dislike, that doesn't matter. It shows that you've had a reaction to this, and YouTube like when people actually react with some sort of an emotion to a video, and then they will recommend that video more. So, when you dislike a video, you're actually helping the person. The best thing you can do is turn off the video early, and then just don't leave anything, because that will get them bad watch time and no reaction. So, just please don't do that to me now. I'd hate that.
Someone else made regarding the prequels.
A certain online critic deconstructed the prequels, explained in reasonable terms why most people hate them. Why most people hate them.
Why most people hate them.
Yeah, so you can forget about trying to pass off that narrative. The reason why this is such an accurate representation of how people actually feel about the prequels, at least at surface level, is because the Watch Mojo audience isn't a massive anti-George Lucas circle jerk of shit. Nor is it a group of people who are prequel apologists. 20 million subscribers is large enough to account for the general consensus of just plain old regular people. So you can take the...
And while there are fans of the prequels out there, I think the majority of us can agree.
Guys, I must admit, I'm lost. I don't know what his point is. What's he talking about? I'm just gonna go forward. This is a long video.
And at times terrifying.
What? People hurt me. I've hurt people too.
Yeah, this is really bad acting. That
What? I'm so confused.
first example is stupidly annoying, and the second one is whispering, where I can barely understand what she's saying. Whispering is inherently incompetent acting, and I don't care about any situation. I can't.
Wait, she's saying is he saying the acting in Logan is bad? Is he actually trying to say that? Because I will throw hands. Logan is a brilliant movie. And that girl, she does a great job. She yeah, don't come for that. You've made a mistake, buddy. I might be wrong. I just skipped to some random place, and he might have a valid point. I don't know. He's kind of lost my respect at this point.
Can't believe their idiot fans actually bought this excuse. So now he shows his true self by insulting the original trilogy.
Okay, internet, take notes. Using the sand quote out of context is possibly the most played out and weightless fucking argument you could make against the prequels. And if you want to use that narrow scope, you bet your ass the oh so precious original trilogy isn't excluded from the broad stroke of bad acting and dialogue either.
Scruffy looking nerf herder.
Who's scruffy looking?
You are retarded. Even in context, the sand quote is fucking ridiculous and dumb. Now he's going to attempt...
I mean, both. Okay, I think the thing that Anomaly, like the clip Anomaly showed, isn't the greatest as well, because that's just, it makes sense, because Leia's flustered, she's trying to get back at, because, you know, there's kind of some sexual tension there, and she's getting nervous, because she hasn't felt this way before, probably, but, so she just tries to come with the worst excuse, like the worst possible dish she can come with, and it just sounds so childish. So I don't think that's the best example that he showed, but still, this Adam, man, I don't know, being so ignorant as to not being able to see that, yes, the original trilogy also does have bad dialogue. The sequels probably also have bad dialogue in a lot of places. It's I don't know. This man annoys me. I can see where it all comes from. Roman whispering is bad acting. So many like top-notch films would be horrible if this man was like a film reviewer. Just whenever someone is speaking normally in a film, not wanting to scream, he's just saying, nope, horrible acting. You know what? Okay, I'm going to come back to this video at some later point, possibly. I want to check out the comments because I know a lot of you guys have been down there. Hey! Malachi! Is the person, he's in the chat right now. Hayden as Anakin is easily the worst performance in any movie. You clearly haven't seen a lot of bad movies then. True. Very true. Hayden Christensen does a good job compared to a lot of other movies. And that's just a fact. He doesn't do a great job compared to good acting, but it could be a lot worse. Trust me. Oh, why have you written so much? Yeah, comments is another reaction. It will get him more views. Wait, 47 dislikes and only 6 likes. What does he have now? Oh my god. Big oof for him. Hey, it's Rowan. I have a theory that Adam is an AI that takes all bad criticisms all bad criticisms of the prequels and generates his own when they have some bad guy from a Russian gulag read off the script. It's actually true. It does sound like that. The good general, my friend. I mean, you call us pathetic man babies that don't have a life in the comments of the video, but you say Anomaly is malicious and that makes him bad. Do I smell hypocrisy? Oh yes. Oh yes. Why is it all these people, why are these are the same people who like 6 months ago attacked me for going after Anomaly? I'm so happy they've just gone over to someone else. It makes me feel like old news. I'm surprised you got 5 likes. Amazing. Every word of what you just said was wrong. Hey, I love this. A Last Jedi quote has just been used to defend the prequels. Brilliant. Brilliant. Even Adam Weishaupt was the person we all needed. He was the man who united the prequels and the sequels. How amazing. Alright, I'm going to close that for now. Alright, I'm just going to finish up by reading some of the comments that I missed. So, and then I'm going to call it for tonight. This has been much longer than the last one I did on Wednesday, but I hope you guys have enjoyed. Please tell me what you guys have thought about the podcast. If there's anything I can improve for next time, I'd love to improve. But yeah, just leave me some suggestions. Alright, where was I? I can't pick a favorite trilogy as I have 4 favorites: Star Wars, Lord of the Rings, Back to the Future, and Spider-Man. They're all great trilogies. You're not wrong for not being able to pick between them. My favorite trilogy is Evil Dead, but Lord of the Rings is probably the best. Yeah, the thing is, it's subjective. In my opinion, the Lord of the Rings is untouched by anything, but I know a lot of people think differently. Even though I think it's very hard for me to understand, but you do you. Everyone has their own opinions, and that's fine. He is very infamous indeed. Oh, infamous. You know, he is infamous. He is not. He's smaller than me, which is which means he's basically irrelevant because I am irrelevant. This is where the fun begins. Sorry I couldn't really respond to him a lot. I'll probably have to dedicate a proper podcast for that eventually. Going to read the comment sections? Yep, I did. Yes, he did insult Cosmonaut, but Anomaly Inc. literally mentioned that in his video before he started the actual vid. True. Very true. He's become the very thing he swore to destroy. Yep. He did. Cosmonaut is so unfair. He goes so in-depth with the prequels and then ignores the flaws in the sequels. The thing is, Cosmonaut, yes, he is a bit unfair towards the prequels in a lot of ways. But it's his style. The thing is, a lot of people don't like his videos, and you don't have to watch if you don't like them. There's a lot of things that I disagree with too, but I just like his videos. They're really well made. He puts a lot of time into them, and they're funny. And a lot of the time, me and him have similar opinions, so I like that. Except for Game of Thrones. Game of Thrones Season 8 was not that bad. The Emoji Movie is better than the prequels. Okay. I don't agree, but good for you. That's sad. You have low movie expectations. Oh, it's a joke. Oh, thank God. You scared me there. Prequels are still the biggest cinematic disappointment of all time. Oh my God, he's back at it again. I don't know if this is a joke or not, but we'll see. You could make an argument that they're disappointing, but yeah, you could also make an argument that they're not. Cosmo I tend to agree with, except when it comes to Star Wars, except for The Last Jedi and Solo, but he's entertaining in those videos. Yes. He really is. He's very entertaining. He's a good YouTuber. He deserves 1 million subscribers. Where was I? His point is that this whole idea of painting the picture that the prequels are bad is pretentious. Yes. And he goes about it the wrong way. There's a good way to respond to Anomaly, and there's a bad way, and he definitely chose the bad way. He takes Anomaly Inc. out of context as well, yes. He is a hypocrite. He does all the same things that he accuses Anomaly Inc. of doing. Say, are you ever going to talk about Anna, that Star Wars girl? Maybe. I've never heard of her, but, I could. Maybe. Hi everyone. Rip, he's finishing up now. I'm sorry, the podcast is still going to be up, so if you ever want to listen to any of it back, then you're free to do that. But yeah, and there will be more podcasts in the future, so look forward to that. Anomaly Inc. is toxic and irritating, not gonna lie. I'm just gonna not say anything because I'm afraid. Hello there, General Kenobi. I know I am a bold one. Your move. Back away. I will deal with this Jedi slime myself. Oh, you people are true fans. I love it. TurfNation, I misspelled that. I meant the idea of painting the picture that most people hate the prequels is pretentious. Yes. There you go. You got it right. All right. Yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. If you didn't already, then please leave a like if you enjoyed, or leave a dislike if you didn't. I won't judge you. Leave a comment for anything you think that I could do better for next time, or any topic you want me to discuss next time. If there's videos you want me to respond to, then please do so. I'm really enjoying just talking to you guys. It's great. It's easy for me. It's nice. It doesn't put too much stress on me to get videos out. So yeah, I like it. I've had a lot of fun. I hope you guys have too. And yeah, I'll see you guys later. Bye. I hope you had fun.